Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. It is the instant match reaction. Everton 1, Brighton and Hove Albion 1 at Goodison Park this afternoon. Apologies that this is a little bit late. We've got a little bit of a party going on at the moment for my sister's birthday, so there is about 420 odd people in our house. There's about 30 people, but it feels like there's about 420 odd people. And there's just various different things going on. There's fireworks going off outside, so if you hear them, I've not set them up because I think this was an unbelievable performance, even though I do think it was a very well-worked and well-hard-earned point. But yeah, just an awful lot going on at the moment, so I apologise that it's taken me a couple of hours to get round to doing this video. Slightly deflated after this one, I'll be perfectly honest with you. I know the manager was asked after the game whether he feels like it's 1 point well earned or 2 points dropped, and he said he feels like it's a point well earned because of how good Brighton are and how well how well managed and how well structured Brighton are. But for me, I don't know. When we have these situations where we're ahead in a game for so long, and even though Brighton had all of the possession, and even though Brighton were the team pushing forward, and even though we were on the defensive for pretty much the entirety of the game, it still very much feels like 2 points dropped for me, this one. We were ahead in the game for 75 minutes, 80 minutes, and then we conceded a fluky, spawny, deflected goal to only come away with a point. It just feels a little bit... I feel like, as I said, I feel a little bit disappointed, and even a couple of hours later, when usually, the dust has settled and you've maybe got a little bit more of a well-thought opinion about the game, I still feel disappointed to have not walked away with all 3 points today. I fancied us today. I said it in the preview yesterday. I fancied the manager to be able to set this team up to go out there and frustrate Brighton and ultimately come away with the results, and that's exactly what we did. We frustrated them. We did it really, really well. Although they had all of the possession, although they had all of the ball, although, the neutral who didn't watch the game would probably say Everton were lucky to get a point, they never created anything. They never created anything at all. They had a couple of half chances that you expect Jordan Pickford to be able to deal with. They had the free kick, of course, from Lewis Dunk, which was a good save, and they had another couple of half chances that we defended really well, and it just feels, as I said, it feels a little bit disappointing to concede a goal in the way in which we did. A spawny deflection. Matoma, I don't even think he was shooting. I think it was a poor cross that took an unfortunate deflection from Ashley Young and looped over Jordan Pickford. And yes, it looks on the surface of it, if you look at all of the stats and the possession and all of that, you probably say, do you know what, Brighton deserved a point there. But I would argue Brighton didn't deserve a point today. I'll be perfectly honest, that they didn't put us under any real pressure. They didn't create an awful lot. It wasn't like they hit the bar, hit the post 3 times, Pickford made 4 or 5 world-class saves, and then they got that goal, then had City in and go, do you know what, maybe we had that coming, but they didn't. We nullified them to pretty much nothing for the entirety of the game, and I thought Sean Dyche's game plan worked absolutely perfectly. I thought it was absolutely perfect. Yes, it's a little bit frustrating to watch at times, and yes, it's definitely anxious to watch, when the opposition team has something like 80-odd% possession in the first half, but we never really looked like we were panicking. We never really looked like we were worried about conceding. We never really looked like we were particularly worried about their attacking threat. And they do have a massive attacking threat. Players like Matoma, players like Evan Ferguson, João Pedro who come on. These are players that have torn Premier League sides to bits this season. And, being able to put 3, 4, 5, 6 past, these teams, and they weren't able to do anything today. They weren't able to cause us hardly any issues, so that's why I'm frustrated. I know we might look back on it and say, do you know what, it's a point against a decent side, and ultimately you take those. If you'd have said to us, I don't know, on Tuesday afternoon, you're gonna win this game against Burnley on Wednesday, and then you're gonna go and get a point at Brighton, 4 points out of West Ham away and Brighton at home, you probably take that last weekend. But it's just the way in which it occurred. As I said, I just felt like it was a bit deflating, because I just don't think they particularly deserved that. Now, don't get me wrong, people will say, well, Everton didn't deserve it, you sat back and defended for 90 minutes, but ultimately we got the early goal, and then the game plan was the game plan. Now, I'm not saying it's the most attractive game plan in the world, I'm not saying it's the most exciting to watch, I'm not saying it's the most attacking in the world, it obviously isn't, but it then is down to the opposition team to be able to break us down, and Brighton couldn't break us down all afternoon, and as I said, that's why when they ultimately get that goal with 5 minutes to go, it does feel a little bit frustrating for me. But as I said, I thought Dyche's game plan was spot on today. There's only one real way to approach a game against a footballing side like Brighton, and that is the way in which we did it. If we'd have started to have gone toe-to-toe with them today, I think they could have easily put 2 or 3, 4 past us, but we didn't. We defended, we frustrated them, we worked hard, we battled. I thought the 2 centre-backs worked their asses off today. I thought they were absolutely brilliant, dealt with Evan Ferguson like he was a 20-odd-year-old kid in his first season in the Premier League, and that you might say, well, Cammy is, but let's be honest, he's played games this season where he's looked like a seasoned professional, and he's looked like he's been in this division for years and years and years. I thought Mykolenko once again was really, really solid on the left-hand side. I thought he put a really, really solid performance in. I thought Dominic Calvert-Lewin was absolutely fantastic. Thought McNeil worked hard again. I have a problem with the right-hand side, and this isn't just because the deflected goal come off Ashley Young. I think individually Ashley Young wasn't too bad today. I don't think he put a particularly bad performance in whatsoever. Do I think he should be in this Everton team week in, week out? Absolutely not, no, because I think Nathan Patterson is a better option, but I don't think he was terrible today. Ashley Young, I think he worked hard, I think he battled. I thought his one-on-one defending was relatively good. It's the best it's been for a long, long time, certainly since he's been at Everton. Similar to Mykolenko, I thought Mykolenko's one-on-one defending was absolutely amazing. Again, made up for him. It's a brilliant, brilliant goal. Nice ball over. Obviously, McNeil gets it, tries to play the ball in. That takes a deflection, and Mykolenko obviously runs onto it, takes the shot straight at the goalkeeper, and then the rebound with his right foot. You very rarely see Mykolenko control the ball with his right foot, never mind rifle one into the top of the net. So it was a really, really well-worked goal. But yeah, I suppose if I was to be critical of the performance, like I said, I don't think that right-hand side works. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think he even said it on Wednesday after we'd won so convincingly. The partnership, between Jack Harrison and Ashley Young just isn't there. There doesn't seem to be any chemistry. There doesn't seem to be any, knowledge of each other's whereabouts or of each other's position or of each other's game, where one another's going to be, how Harrison is going to make the run forward and is Young going to overlap. It just looks like they're 2 players that have never played football together and have not got that, continuity. And maybe that will come with time. And you could argue, well, McNeil and Mykolenko have been playing together for a lot longer than Harrison and Young. But the only thing I would say is for them to build that connection, for them to build that partnership, they're going to have to play together week in, week out for me for another 4, 5, 6 games. And I'm not so sure Ashley Young should be playing week in, week out for 4, 5, 6 games. I would rather Jack Harrison create a partnership with Nathan Patterson, who's a lot younger and will be around this team and around this squad for a lot longer, than build it with a 38-year-old Ashley Young who could pick up an injury in January. Touch wood, he doesn't, but could pick up an injury and then be out for 5, 6, 7 weeks, and then you've got no partnership with Patterson and Harrison. I thought Jack Harrison was really, really poor today. I'll be honest, I thought he was really poor. Pretty much every time he got the ball, he wasted it. I don't think he was particularly great going forward. He worked hard. Don't get me wrong, he worked hard, he put himself about, he battled, he fought, but his impact on the ball and some of the opportunities he had to create something, he didn't make the most of. And that's disappointing because, you've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin up there who once again today was very much a 10 out of 10 performance, and he hasn't even had a chance on goal, but it's everything else he does. It's the controlling of the play, it's the winning the ball in the air when it gets lumped up, it's the occupying 2 defenders. I thought Dom was absolutely outstanding again today, and you just think maybe Harrison or McNeil had been a little bit more comfortable with the ball in possession, maybe they would have created something for him, and he would have been able to he would have been able to to make an opportunity, but they weren't. As I said, I don't think McNeil was brilliant either, but I think he was better than what Jack Harrison was. I was disappointed with Jack. I thought Garner Gay was played really, really well. Stepped in obviously for Amadou Onana, who's picked up a knock. Hopefully Amadou is back for next week, because I think he is a massive player for us and has a massive impact. But I think Garner stepped in and done a decent job. I've seen a couple of people tweeting that they thought Garner was awful. I don't think he was massively involved in the game, but when he was involved, I thought he'd done an okay job, and he worked hard, he put himself about, and yeah, he was ultimately in that system and in that style, he was pivotal. And yeah, I suppose if I had to criticise the manager, I think the only criticism I've got is that he didn't make the substitutions earlier. I think from 70 minutes onwards, you could see that there were players out there that were absolutely blowing out their arse. I think Decore was blowing out of his arse from 60 minutes onwards and could have come off, could have been taken off. I think Jack Harrison could have been taken off from 60 minutes onwards as well. I thought he looked like he was struggling. Dom was not getting much. I just think Dyche waited a little bit too long. Okay, you could say, well, what would they have done? What would Beto have done? What would Danjuma have done? But I think in that moment, when you're 1-0 up, you've got sort of 15, 20 minutes to go. Brighton were getting frustrated at this point. They should have picked up much more yellow cards if the referee wasn't a Brighton fan, clearly. But they were getting frustrated. They were putting the ball out of play. Their fans were getting frustrated, and it's at that point, I think, where you bring on an injection of pace, you bring on an injection of power. You say to somebody, go out there and just make yourself a nuisance. Say to Beto, there's no need to say to Beto, go on there and win us the game, because we're already winning the game. So just say to Beto, go on there and make a nuisance of yourself, put yourself about, occupy the defenders, make them think twice about everything, go and stand next to Dominic Calvert-Lewin and put yourself in a position where those defenders are thinking, shit, we've got two of them to deal with now. Never mind one of them, we've got two of them to deal with. And look, obviously, but maybe all of that sort of stuff, I can't sit here and say, had we have made those substitutions a little bit earlier, we'd have gone on and win the game. But I just feel like that injection of pace, that injection of a little bit of freshness, maybe would have given Brighton something extra to think about and wouldn't have made it as comfortable for them in the last 10 minutes. Not comfortable in terms of the fact that they created a ridiculous amount of chances, but, comfortable in terms of they weren't really threatened an awful lot. But like I said, I suppose in a weird way, in some, completely isolated to only football way, I suppose it's not the worst thing in the world to be sat here disappointed that we've only managed to draw against a team that last season turned up at Goodison and absolutely wiped the floor with us and beat us, 4-1? Something like that. And even in that game, we got a consolation penalty towards the end of the game. So the fact that we can sit here now and say, I'm really disappointed that we haven't beaten that team that, have finished in a European position last season, beat us comfortably at home last season. After the fact, we've won in midweek so comfortably. We won last weekend so comfortably. We won a couple of weeks before that so comfortably. I suppose that shows that things are getting better and things are more positive. And as I said, I do think I'm not going to give the manager too much criticism, because I think his game plan was spot on today, and I think it worked spot on. It completely nullified everything Brighton had to offer. I just think, and I wonder to myself, had he have made those changes earlier, would it have been a different result? Would we have been able to hold on, because we'd have had that little bit of injection of pace and that little bit of injection of freshness as well? I don't know. But like I said, I'm disappointed that we've not won that game today. I've seen a few people on Twitter saying, that's a brilliant point, we should be dead happy. I think the fact that I'm disappointed that we haven't won that game today is a positive, because it shows that things are slowly but surely moving in the right direction. Because I can come out here and say, I'm disappointed that we haven't beaten Brighton at home in a game that we should have won, and we nullified them to very little. Now, this time last season, had we have got a point against Brighton at home, I'd be sitting here absolutely booming, absolutely buzzing, saying what a great point that was. I personally, and I know some people would disagree, fair enough, I'm disappointed that we couldn't hold on with 5-10 minutes to go, and that we not gifted them, but they scored a spawny goal after having nothing else in the game. I thought Brighton were really, really poor today. I know, our game plan worked brilliantly and we subdued them, and that's fine, I get that, but, again, apparently Brighton are the second coming of 2008 Barcelona, and I just don't see it. I think they're maybe a little bit overrated at the moment, I'll be honest, even though people won't like that. But, again, I suppose the fact that we are disappointed with the point shows that we're moving, we're moving in the right direction, and that maybe is a positive as well. I don't particularly blame Ashley Young for the goal. I haven't seen it back, but from what I was watching with my own eyes in the park end, it doesn't particularly look like he can do much about it. It doesn't really look like he's got much influence on where that shot was going or the defending of that shot. So I don't particularly blame Ashley Young. Do I think he should be on the pitch in the first place? No, I think personally, I think Nathan Patterson should be starting. But again, I still don't particularly blame him for for the goal, because it is what it is, and sometimes that happens, and you've just got to move on. It's unfortunate, it's unlucky, and it's unfortunate that it's come in a game where the opposition has had nothing else to score from, and they've managed to score from that. But it is what it is. We move on. We move on to next week. Big game against Crystal Palace. Now, I don't see why we can't turn up there and win again. And, you know, I suppose we have to take the positives from it. And the positives from it was that the manager's plan worked really, really well. The players worked hard. As I said, Dom was brilliant. Mikalenko was brilliant. Garner Gay was brilliant. A couple of players that were a little bit disappointing for me, but they still worked hard. They still battled. They still put themselves about. And, yeah, you know, sometimes that will happen, won't it? You get a bit unlucky in a game and you've got to accept it and move on. At least we haven't lost a point to point. And as I said, if you'd have said to me after the Merseyside derby defeat, you'll take 4 points out of Brighton and West Ham, and you're winning the cup against Burnley, you'd have probably said, yeah, I'll take that. One thing I do want to mention before we go, I thought the referee was absolutely embarrassing today. I thought he was absolutely embarrassing. He was shocking. Now, a referee that comes from the same area as where Brighton and Hove Albion are from, by the way, and is given the opportunity to manage this game, to referee this game, sorry. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. I haven't seen either of the penalties back. I know the manager's come out and said he's baffled at how we haven't been given one. I'm sure I'll watch them in between now and the review on Monday, so we'll be able to give a much clearer opinion. But the first one on McNeil, when it was at the Park End, it for me was a blatant penalty. And if it's on a Newcastle player, which we've blatantly just seen, because Newcastle have just been gifted the goal against Arsenal for the sole reason that the Premier League are terrified of their owners. They're absolutely shit scared of Newcastle's owners. They're just being given a goal that was out of play and a foul, and VAR ignored both of them and give the goal. It's nonsense. If it was Newcastle, if it was Man United, if it was Liverpool, if it was Arsenal, that penalty gets given today, clearly. But because it's Everton, it doesn't get given. Yeah, one of the worst refereeing performances I've ever seen, and I think that was his debut in the Premier League today. So that just shows how terrible, how terrible that the officials was today. But it is what it is. A point. Not the worst results in the world, but I just am a little bit disappointed with it. But there you go. If you've enjoyed it, please leave a like. It does only take a second. We'll be back with the player ratings probably in about an hour or so when people start to clear out the house. I suppose I should go down and join the party, shouldn't I? If you have enjoyed it, please leave a like. It only takes a second if you're new to the channel. Don't forget to subscribe. Big thank you all for watching. Up the toffees, and we'll see you after.